So from running the guerrilla platoon for the last 9 months and also serving 10 years in the military, I understand now three reasons why soldiers actually end up out of shape when they are serving in the military. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Tom Sergi. I run the Guerrilla Platoon, which is an online physique transformation program for the ex and serving military guys, where we get them into fucking killer shape. Now, let's roll straight into it. The first and the main reason why soldiers end up out of shape is, and dare I say it, this is the full foundation, and because this isn't in place, the second reasons really fall as a byproduct off the back of it. The first reason is soldiers are not really equipped with that much nutritional information. The knowledge when it comes to nutrition for your typical soldier is he kind of understands macros a little bit. He understands he needs to eat like a good amount of food, but that's as far as it will go. And with that, then you can imagine if dare I say it, if anything were to happen, if your main source of staying in shape was the fact that you can move a lot, you're not going to be able to move a lot forever. You get older, you have a shelf life. We're kind of like footballers in that way, that like throughout our 20s, we're fucking primal, even in our 30s. But as you go higher up the ranks and age, you're not going to be in that space of moving that much anymore. You're going to be in that space of behind the desk, managing the fucking charts, looking after the people in that regard. So you can imagine that if we don't fix this, this is going to catch up with you at some point in your career or when you leave. I did a video on why soldiers will end up out of shape when they leave. But if we don't fix this right at the start, you're going to end up in a bad space. And the only reason it didn't happen for me is because I fully delve in and invested into understanding nutrition. So basically I could A, never end up out of shape, but B, help the people and make sure that they run the same. Because I understand when I look at these photos, there is a fucking fuck ton of potential in these type of guys. There really, really is. Like, these people are one of the most mentally strong. They just need the formula in order to get in the best condition of their life. And that's literally what I do. I take these guys and be like, look at the fucking potential that is on offer for you, i.e. the photos on the right. You look like the photos on the left just because you don't know the formula and you've not got someone taking you through it at this given time. That's the only reason. And they're like, yeah, cool, makes sense. And as soon as they get it, they get into their groove, they like the routine, they like the system, and before you know it, they're in fucking killer shape. But so we are, when you join, I joined at 16, so I didn't learn how to cook, obviously, before I joined there. Like, I left home, I was a paper boy, nice. My mum always made my food, nice. That's kind of what happens when you're in school. And then I joined the army, where there's a canteen where you eat from each and every day. Now, unfortunately, these canteens are contracted by certain companies that have been in for years and years and years and years. And dare I say it, they're making that food to make a profit. It's not the best quality. It's not the best products. You're not eating enough protein at the long and short of it. You're not eating enough protein, therefore you're filling up with more like greasy carbs and fats. Therefore, the balance and the ratio of how much protein you actually needed for your skeletal muscle is off. And you're filling it with carbs and bullshit and stuff. So it's not serving you in that realms. The problem is, because you don't understand really like the basic forms of nutrition, you just end up consuming like bullshit, or what's easy, or what's on offer because you've had a busy day and you just jump in, you go and get that food. And like, people have a rough understanding, but these canteens, in my opinion, are not equipped to feed you what you actually need. Like, when I understood how much protein I actually needed, it felt like a lot at the time. Now I look at it and I'm like, that's fucking, like, that's nothing. Like, that MAP protein is nothing. But the problem is, like, that guys just aren't eating enough protein. They're eating too much carbs, and when that balance is off, you're not moving enough, you're going to end up accumulating body fat. So the main thing I try and instill with the guys inside the Guerrilla Platoon is eat like this. This is why this is set the way it is. This is how we work. And I've done videos at length. If you're a returning viewer of the channel, how many times I've pulled up the calorie calculator and be like, right, this is how much body fat you've got. This is how much muscle mass you've got. This is how much protein you need. You need to take that lean amount of muscle mass times it by 2.4. That's how much protein you need. You need to eat that every day. Divide that number up across the meals you're eating. Eat these styles of food. These are proteins that will satiate you, keep you fuller for longer. These are proteins you need to have around the workout because they digest fast. Boom, there's that done. Right, this is how much fats you need to be eating. We want to keep fats in a healthy space, 20% of the target of this amount. Cool, these are the fats you want to be eating. When you want to get leaner, pull from fats first because you're going to get a greater return on calories dropped or grams removed versus calories dropped out the back of it. Right, this is carbs. This is why you need carbs and how much you should be having in and around the workout. Eat these types of carbs around the workout. Higher GI, faster to digest. Eat these ones further away from them, slower to digest. Good for filling up the glycogen stores, etc., etc., etc. This is how you progressively deload the diet plan in order to get you in the shape you want. This is then what to do when you're in this space. This is how to eat if you've got a social event coming up, so that you don't overconsume calories and then end up fat. Plan. You're not going to move that much this week? Cool, fine. Pull 200 calories out your diet. Bang, 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 bang. Stayed on plan. But that level of accountability, and this is what you need for your body type, is not taught to them. The reason I can get them in the shape I can is because I understand this. Every week I'm checking on their diet and manipulating it to make it fit to get that style of a result. They're not really taught this level of information, which is a shame because look at the fucking potential of these people. Like, look at the photos on the right. There's a fuck ton of potential for these guys if they were just taught this information, but they're not. And there's these fucking companies who just want to make money out of them, and that's the contract, and that's just the fucking way it is. So the message really is learn fucking nutrition as soon as you possibly can, because that way you will end up in much, much better shape. Because dare I say it, point two, the main reason soldiers will end up out of shape is they will, at some point in their career, they will get injured. They will go for at least one bad injury. Now, it never happened to me, thank God. I think the only saving grace was I'd resistance trained before I joined the army all the way through, and I was very, very into strength training. So my ankles, like, have you ever part rolled your ankle? I would roll my ankle and it would never fully roll because it would like go, and I've got the elasticity, the strength within the ankle that it just doesn't buckle over. I've strengthened the calves that much. I've done this much of resistance training that they're strong. I never got, and by the way, I'm flat-footed. If I was to show you my feet now, they literally look like my hands. Flat as fuck, and I was still a PTI, so a physical training instructor for the Paras, even with flat feet. Flat feet is not your fucking issue. Your issue is your joints itself were not strong. If your joints are not strong, you can bet your bottom dollar you're going to get injured at some point. Now, heaven forbid, some guys get injured from parachuting accidents, other air skill style accidents coming down from like helicopters, coming off vehicles. Like sometimes you're going to go for a bad injury, and like heaven forbid it happens to you, but it probably is going to happen to some of you in that style of role. Of course it is. But if the top point is not really adhered to, if your nutrition is not built on solid principles, you're going to end up out of shape quite quickly, because the only thing that was keeping you at bay was your high output. You can't run on this treadmill at this speed forever. Injuries happen, age happens, life happens, and before you know it, you're out of shape. So the second reason is like blokes get injured, and that's just the long and short of it. But if your understanding of nutrition was higher, you'd be okay. If you got really bad injury, your best bet is probably just to go onto a carnivore diet. It's going to give you enough protein, obviously, to support your skeletal muscle. The protein is going to satiate you enough that's going to stop you from reaching for bullshit. You're obviously going to capture your fat content, so hormones are going to be in a good space. But if you can barely move, you don't need a boatload of carbs. You really don't. So going onto a carnivore diet will probably be the best bet for you, or like a low carb diet. It will actually serve you a lot more, because you don't need the carbs because you're injured. Now, the last reason is slightly different to the first two, but you can kind of still be fit for role and not be in great shape. And this is a little bit of a side point and probably my own personal opinion, but dare I say it, some of the soldiers, if you look at the before photos, not like drastically out of nick, like some of them, and dare I say it, the majority of them not really even above 20% body fat, if you look at the majority of them, which doesn't seem like too much of an issue. But why I bring the point up is, imagine the mindset difference between the photo on the left and the photo on the right. You can probably imagine yourself. Now, if you look like the photo on the right and you are currently looking at the photo on the left, you can imagine what type of person you're going to be. You can imagine the type of character that you're going to be. So, if you may be fit for role but don't look aesthetic, your confidence is going to be nowhere near as good as if you did look aesthetic and you were fit for role. You can have fucking both. Like, you can be fit for role, fine. But I tell you now, I have guys that PB their best events when they're leaner. Why? Because they're carrying less adipose tissue. That adipose tissue is not doing you any favours. You can give me this bullshit excuses. It'll keep me warm in the winter. Put a fucking jumper on. Now, you don't need to wear your fucking jumper all year round, do you? If you're lighter, you're going to be quicker because you're carrying less adipose tissue. If you've been through a hypertrophy strength block, guess what? Your muscles and your connective tissue are going to be a hell of a lot stronger, making you a lot more robust. Because every time we're training for hypertrophy, we're controlling the eccentric. 3 seconds down, we're stopping at the bottom, in the isometric, where the muscle is at the lengthened position, building up the strength in the connective tissue. Then we're shortening the muscle under control. The fact that we lift like this means you don't really need to do any stretching. Because mobility, you're always stretching. You're taking the muscle for a full range of motion. You're just doing it under load. If anything, you can get a greater stretch because the load is forcing you into the lengthened position. So that for the fact that you do a hypertrophy block, you can then go into a strength block. But you kind of need to earn the right to do strength by doing hypertrophy first. Because hypertrophy is less intensity than strength, hence why you can do more reps. But it's also slower and more controlled, therefore making you just stronger overall. Hence the photos on the right. And the final thing, of course, in physique development and transformation, my formula, my methodology is you want to keep the food as high as possible because it's just going to keep adherence a lot easier. If you're eating more but I'm still dieting you down, you're going to stick to it for longer. If you've got more energy, you'll train harder in the gym. Training stimulus is the biggest and the only reason why you will build and retain tissue. You can eat all the protein in the world. You don't fucking train like an animal, that tissue will disintegrate off the bones. So then you have to keep the output high, right? Which I know I've just kind of contradicted myself in the way I've said that you can't keep output high forever, but understand that we're doing physique development for a 16-week block to get them in this style of shape. Well, then you can push output. Pushing output is going to make you a fitter soldier. So you're going to come off the back of this plan stronger because your connective tissue is in a better space, therefore less chance of getting injured in the first place. You're going to be leaner, therefore lighter, carrying less adipose tissue. You're going to perform better at roll. And then lastly, you're going to be fitter because we've used cardio, we've maxed your zone 2 aerobic base, so you're going to be a lot fitter. So off the back of this, the chances of the first two happening have been reduced. You've been equipped with nutritional information, so you know how, and it's much easier to stay lean when you get lean. Let me tell you from a lean person's perspective, much easier to stay lean when you already are, because your body is now a furnace that just burns food to keep you at the same muscle status as you were before. So it's much easier to get lean than it is. It's much easier to stay lean than it is to get lean. Fucking hell, let me tell you that for free. So at that point, that's why soldiers end up out of shape and how to essentially fix it. And that is all I've got to say for you in this video. So if you found it useful, great. And I'll see you tomorrow.